It's time for our second movie of the night. We passed out. Tell us about the plot of Wonder Woman in that case.
Oh, okay. I'm very drunk right now.
Tell
Give me a second. Wonder Woman starts with Wonder Woman on Themyscira, the island of the Amazons, and it shows Wonder Woman basically mature into an adult from kind of a sheltered princess type of role into a confident woman who decides that war is bad, I need to kill Ares. So she eventually meets up with Chris Pine, also known as Steve Trevor, who crashes on the Amazonian island of Themyscira. And eventually she basically, somehow Steve Trevor doesn't get murked in the battle where all the Germans die because these Germans found Themyscira. And basically Steve Trevor says, hey, I'm a good guy, but there's also this big war, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called World War II, where there's just like the World War I, where the biggest body count shit ever happened, and basically people were just getting butchered in the trenches. Wonder Woman says, who fucking is causing all this bullshit? Ares! And she, so she fucking heads back to London with Chris Pine, who is very American, feels very American.
He's not American.
Is he not American?
He's English.
Is he actually English? He's one of those English people that sounds very American for some reason to me. Maybe it's just his accent.
He might be American in real life,
whatever.
movie.
But in the movie, he's a British person and he's a spy and pretends to be German. He says, hey, there's this bitch called Madame Poison, and there's this dude who I don't remember his name whatsoever. And they're basically evil, and Wonder Woman's like, alright, so I'm gonna fuck them up. And they're like, well, women can't do that shit because they're women. Women are, women can't fight. This is back in the day, 1917, when they didn't really consider women as people that much. Unfortunately, women didn't have equal rights to men. But Wonder Woman's a strong woman, so whatever. And then they go to the front, they get some fights with German people. And the German people are all evil stereotypes. And they go over and they butcher them. Wonder Woman butchers them. And then eventually she says, I'm gonna kill Ares, who she thinks is the German general. But she fights the German general, and spoiler alert, she kills him, but it's not him. And it turns out Ares is actually the guy who's like kind of pushing along the kind of a peace agreement, and the Germans kind of quit World War I, the armistice. And but he just wants this because he knows the Germans have this super mustard gas from Madame Poison. So Wonder Woman ends up fighting Ares in a super CGI battle, and Steve Trevor ends up sacrificing himself for the greater fucking good. And Aidan, what did you think of Wonder Woman?
Well, first off, this movie is very harshly overrated right now, and there's two real reasons for that. The first reason that it's harshly overrated is because it's the first female superhero movie that's not horrible. I mean, it's basically going up against Supergirl and Catwoman.
And Elektra.
Supergirl, Catwoman, and Elektra, which are all just god-awful movies. Yeah. And the other thing, people are severely overrated.
It's like the first one in like the cinematic universe craze, which is like the golden age of superhero movies. Like,
people are also severely overrating it because it's the first DC movie that's not fucking terrible. Because, I mean, goddamn, the other three are just horrible.
I mean, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Batman, Superman were all subpar. Well, Man of Steel was subpar. Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman were god-awful atrocities to mankind.
But honestly, the movie comes very close to being great, and it's only held back by its ending. I mean, I think and it's weird to say because it's like Chris Pine and Gal Gadot aren't people that I normally think of as like good actors.
I don't think Chris Pine's a bad actor. I think Chris Pine's like a subpar actor. Like, he did a decent job in Star Trek, but not impressive.
Come together, and like I think if the acting in this movie was worse, it'd just be like completely horrible. Because the movie itself, it's really carried by the performance of those two. I mean, especially Gal Gadot as as Wonder Woman. Like, she has like, you know, this movie's essentially a cross between Thor and Captain America: The First Avenger, where it's like she doesn't understand anything about modern society, and also there's a big war going on that she participates in. And it kind of blends those two movies together. Like, I'm sure DC won't admit it, but this is nothing like those other three movies. It's just like basically a Marvel movie. Gal does super good, and Chris Pine does super good, and they really carry the movie with their performances, kind of making it like believable. And she's believable. It's kind of like someone who doesn't have any idea what the hell the world is actually about, and like she basically, her character arc, she thinks that she can solve all the world's problems by killing Ares, and she comes to learn eventually that it's not really that simple, and that, you know, people are just kind of shit, and Ares doesn't really have anything to do with World War I starting. He just kind of like helps it get worse. But then the movie kind of like, the movie's super good, honestly. Like, it's a great movie up until the ending, where you have all these things happening where she's just saving people, and you know, the action across the whole movie is subpar, because the action, every time the action almost seems good, every action scene has at least 4 slow-mo sequences that just ruin the pacing and kind of tear the action apart.
Yes.
But the parts where it's just like Wonder Woman discovering this new world and trying to help people as best she can are super, you know, it's super well put together, especially in those parts. Like, the action's a little lacking, but everything else is just like pretty fantastic, and that's coming from the company that made Batman vs Superman. But then the movie really falls apart at the end. I honestly, I don't want to say I know better than DC screenwriters, but I do. I feel like, honestly, that German guy that she kills this German guy that she thinks is Ares, and then she stops for a minute and she realizes that the war hasn't ended because Ares is dead. Like, Ares being dead doesn't stop the war, and she realizes that the world's problems aren't very easy to fix. Like, you can't just do one thing and fix all the world's problems. And that's honestly a better ending than everything that came after it, and I wish that German guy was just Ares, and then she just helped get rid of the mustard gas and realized that, like, to fight the world's problems, you just gotta take things one step at a time and slowly build up to a better world, instead of like what happens after that, because the ending of this movie is atrocious. The ending of this movie literally drops down to Batman vs Superman tier for no reason, where, and spoiler alert, but essentially Ares comes and he's like, I didn't start this war, I just told people how to make deadlier weapons. And then they get in a horrible CGI Dragon Ball Z fight where they just launch like Kai blasts at each other, and Ares is actually killed by a Kamehameha where like he shoots lightning at her, and then she crosses her arm and shoots a giant laser at him, and he explodes and like makes armors out of missiles, and it's very reminiscent of not just Batman vs Superman, but the ending honestly reminds me a lot of Dragon Ball Evolution, which is not a good comparison. Being compared to Dragon Ball Evolution, especially when that movie's been forgotten by everyone in the world, not good. The ending is just like 15 minutes of 2 people shooting lasers at each other, and it's full of like corny shit where she's talking about like how the power of love allows her to shoot Kamehamehas and shit, and like the ending is just corny shit, and it's also completely irrelevant because she finds out that Ares has nothing to do with starting the war and that people are just shit. And then for no reason, she still wants to kill Ares. Like, Ares is a dick, no doubt. He helped invent mustard gas. But she's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you because... And then she gets in a Dragon Ball Z battle with him and fucking murders him. And then for some reason, even though Ares didn't actually cause the war or even continue the war, he literally just helped invent weapons for the war. These German soldiers and these American soldiers just started getting along, and I'm not sure if the implication was that Ares actually was behind it and was just like bullshitting her, or if the implication was that they were so impressed with Wonder Woman that they decided to become good guys. But whatever it is completely flies in the face at everything else that happened in the movie. Flies in the face of Chris Pine giving up his life to blow up the mustard gas. The ending of this movie is so completely stupid that I feel like it was entirely WB's decision, and that everything before this point in the movie, WB tried to prevent from happening as much as possible, because WB and DC cannot make good movies to save their life. It's like this ending was clearly decided by boardroom executives because they thought the movie didn't have enough action, and it ruins the entire movie. Honestly, without the ending, this movie is probably like 8.5 out of 10. With the ending, it drops to 7 out of 10, maybe 6.5. The ending is so atrociously bad, I can't even believe. I honestly, the ending is Batman vs Superman tier. It's Dragon Ball Evolution tier. It's Catwoman tier. The ending is the ending is fucking horrible.
That's fucking bullshit.
And it's contrasted.
You didn't see Catwoman because he passed out, but Catwoman tier is a lot worse than fucking Wonder Woman. I'm sorry to say.
Okay.
Catwoman,
anyway,
not
shut
even
the hell
close
up.
to Catwoman.
Shut the hell up.
The Wonder Woman ending
Okay,
is
yes, I get
a
it.
million times better than Catwoman.
Okay. That's probably
I am
true.
sorry to say it.
The Wonder Woman ending, if I had to give
I don't mean to call you
everything
bullshit, but-
everything except the ending of Wonder Woman, 8 out of 10. You know, maybe 8.5 out of 10. The ending, 2 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10. The ending is just atrocious. It drags down the entire movie. Essentially, DC, you just gotta trust. You gotta trust the people directing your movies. You're already copying Marvel now. Obviously, you're copying Marvel at this point because this was a Marvel movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn took lots of risks. James Gunn obviously had a lot of creative freedom. This, you guys poked and prodded and you ruined the ending of what could have been your first great movie. You almost had a great movie and instead you walked away with a good movie, and it's enough to get people excited for Justice League. But honestly, if Justice League is mediocre, if Justice League is bad, even if Justice League is just mediocre, your cinematic universe is dead. I'm sorry, DC, but you're fucked. Your cinematic universe is dead. And you gotta let people do what they do. And you gotta get Zack Snyder as far away from everything as possible if you want to have any
Well, they already
any money
talked
in
Zack
this shit.
Snyder out of ever having to touch the universe again. His daughter committed suicide, so 6 weeks of
Suicide?
6 weeks of reshoots is just because they need minor fucking reshoots. So because of the fact that they're starting this month and actually ending in August, you know, those are minor reshoots of 6 weeks, you know, minor reshoots.
So anyway,
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go for it.
I loved this movie. I thought it was very fucking good. The movie, you know, my biggest critique about this movie is the start at Themyscira. It should have cut down Themyscira because this movie, like most DC movies, was bloated time-wise. Like it was like 2.5 hours long and 2 hours 15. It felt very long, and the biggest problem with this movie was the fact that Stop getting distracted. But basically, the biggest problem with this movie is Themyscira was like, you could have slimmed down the scenes quite a bit. Like, 6-year-old Diana Prince, I was not interested in at all. I didn't give 2 fucks about Wonder Woman running around as a little girl. They could have honestly started this movie with she was a teenager and kind of showed it, but it was an origin movie, I guess. I think it could have been slowed down. I guess as kind of a comic book reader, I understand that. But the movie really picked up when they ended up in London, and the story was very compelling. I thought Chris Pine, I never really have a problem with as an actor. I don't like give him like props. I'm not like Chris Pine is like a modern masterpiece actor. I don't have anything against Chris Pine really. So Chris Pine did a good job in this movie. Gail Gadot, she could play the fish out of water well. She didn't really proved herself in this movie because she kind of just played a fish out of water, which is easy because even I can be like, oh, I really like the ice cream. And obviously there was a lot of stuff pulled from the comics directly, like the ice cream scene where Wonder Woman's like, I really like ice cream, felt out of place in this movie, but in the comics they originally did the same thing in modern times where it was the first time Wonder Woman came to America. She's like, oh, I like the ice cream. And, like, obviously they just stole that to kind of put the fucking like Wonder Woman kind of like gag thing of Wonder Woman not like understanding really the culture of the world and just being like ice cream good. Just that shit in general, but I mean honestly I really enjoyed it was one of the better told origins recently. A lot of origins like at this point, like I look at the Ant-Man origin, which was garbage, and a lot of the origins for superhero movies, it's like you know, as a comic fan I feel like I've read that before, I don't give a fuck, or a lot of the times the origins are kind of simplified and just either glossed over to the point where I don't give a fuck, or it's not good. The origin was okay here. When they actually got to World War I, that was very interesting. As kind of a history buff, I like World War I. I like the fact that World War I isn't really touched on, and this definitely would have been World War II if Captain America the First Avenger didn't happen. Obviously they didn't want to say it, basically prove straight up, they were straight up fucking rip off World War of Captain America the First Avenger, so they decided World War I. I feel like that was the only thing that made the movie World War I and not World War II, because it felt like World War II. Stop. Stop. For a few seconds, so I'm gonna have to talk about and basically, the setting of World War I was very interesting. I thought this movie could have done better with an R rating, and obviously they weren't going to do that because they want mothers to bring their children to this movie about people getting blown to shreds in the fucking World War I. Obviously, like, and also they didn't really show how gruesome World War I was. World War I is probably the war where it's like, in the movie, they're like, World War I is the bloodiest war ever. Like, you fucking went to World War I, you had like a 90% chance of dying because you hopped out of the trench, you ran, and you got shot by the other side. It doesn't matter what side you were on. Germans, Americans, everyone was French, English, everyone was getting ripped to shreds. Trench foot. This movie severely kind of lacked that, which obviously like there was a DC movie, but I feel like with an R rating, this movie would have just been fucking crazy, like crazy good, in a super good way. It would have been crazy. So they kind of had to gimp it because World War I is probably the most disgusting war in human history. I mean, obviously, like Spartans and shit were, you know, hacking each other apart piece by piece. But honestly, for the PG-13 rating, they did what they could with that, and I can't call it bad because they did what they could for PG-13. It was honestly very kind of dark, but kind of not at the same time. Speaking of dark, the cinematography, I saw the trailers for the cinematography and it made me want to barf because I was seeing like Batman, Superman stuff, and maybe it was just because I saw it in theaters. I don't know how it translates to DVD, but I really like the contrast how Themyscira and the island of the Amazons was very bright and there was great contrast, and it was very like it was beautiful in many ways, where the water was very like kind of had that beautiful like turquoise blue, and everything was kind of sunny and beautiful. And then you compared it to the man's world, and it did a great job of visually showing like the man's world is dark, and war is gonna bring these problems, and war is the reason like this is like dark, and the Industrial Revolution is kind of going on at this time. It's kind of the tail end of the Industrial Revolution, very foggy, very polluting, and kind of when man started like polluting the world, and that's a theme we kind of see in the world through the war. And honestly, I was compelled greatly by Wonder Woman's story. I don't know how much the character can't really have like the same Wonder Woman in Batman Superman, because obviously in 100 years, hopefully, she's not the same like kind of ignorant to the world type of everything's great like on Amazon Island. She gets shaped by the world. She's using the Windows Phone tablet. She gets very shaped by the industrial world of man of World War I. I thought Chris Pine did a fantastic job. Honestly, the end fight scene, I did watch the camera leak on 4chan that I saw, and I was like, oh my god, this reminds me of Tarmac from Batman Superman when they're fighting Doomsday. But when I watched it in the theaters, it made sense. My biggest concern about Zeus is I really wish he kind of turned into more of like a kind of like a dark demon type person. He got put the armor on, because he would have been more threatening. Zeus's voice and his look wasn't, or Ares, I'm sorry, I didn't mean Zeus, wasn't very threatening whatsoever. So as a main villain, that was my biggest problem with the climax. But what can I expect? In this movie, the whole movie, Wonder Woman's goal is pursuing Zeus. So she's gonna have to fight Zeus, and it's like, what? I'm sorry, I'm completely intoxicated right now. So bear fucking.
I know.
Yeah, I get it. And basically, Ares in this movie, I didn't think this movie was that bad. Like, I would not compare the tarmac fight scene to Batman vs Superman, because in Batman vs Superman, I didn't give two fucks about a single character doing anything, because I thought the whole thing was just a disgusting abomination. Chris Pine I actually cared about. When Chris Pine sacrificed himself, I didn't cry, but it was like, damn, like I actually cared when Chris Pine died, and it compelled Wonder Woman to do this fight, which
here's the part
Ares.
that offends
What
me
was the
about
problem?
the Ares fight. If the German guy was Ares, the movie already had a better ending before the Ares
But
fight.
then that would just villainize that would take away from the movie. I think if the German guy was Ares, it would take away from the movie. I 100% say that.
No, it fucking would not.
Explain it.
She kills Ares. She realizes that the world's problems can't be fixed by killing one guy. She realizes that the world's problems can't be fixed by killing one person, that the world's problems aren't that easy to fix, and then she works alongside Chris Pine to take down the fucking mustard gas factory, and you have a much stronger ending than because Chris Pine, Wonder Woman has nothing to do with the actual saving of the world. It's not. Chris Pine stops the mustard gas, which is what saves millions of lives, by blowing himself up. And meanwhile, Wonder Woman has a completely pointless fight with a guy who didn't actually start a war because she doesn't like him for personal reasons. And they have a Dragon Ball Z fight where they launch Kai blasts at each other and Kamehamehas.
I don't think you understand this. I think in this case you're wrong, because what happened was it explained this. Basically, you look at it, if you ended it in that way, it's like, okay, if the German guy was Ares, then it villainizes the Germans completely. What they were trying to do at the end of this movie is they were trying to say man in general is going to do these wars. Basically, man was created by Zeus,
and the war was created, and after
we started war
dead.
mostly because of Ares.
She believes that.
Yes, but let me talk for 2 seconds so I can explain this to you. The reason that the British guy, the reason I think it's more compelling that the British guy was Ares is because she says, okay, I believe in these British ideals, Germans are the bad guys, it's very black and white for Diana, but when she sees that, you know what, the British, one of the main people controlling the entire British Army causing a bunch of the reason World War II is happening, a lot of these fights are happening, is this higher up, And the fact that this guy is
Okay.
Zeus, it proves that it's not black and white. It's not
Okay.
the British are good
She
guys,
kills-
the Germans are bad guys. Because if
But
you
here's
made
the
that
thing.
guy Ares,
Here's
then
the
would
thing.
blatantly make the Germans bad guys.
Fine.
I don't see the problem.
Fine. Listen.
What's the problem?
Listen. She kills Ares, and the Ares is still the British guy. It does not fucking matter who Ares
Keep
is.
going.
And she realizes that the world's problems aren't that easy to solve.
Yes, and that happens.
Yes, no, it fucking does not, because when she kills Ares, the world's problems are solved.
Yes, in that
is
scene,
not
I thought that
good.
was mishandled. If I could speak, then I would have explained that I thought it was mishandled, that the Germans and the English people were just hugging. I think it would have been more effective if they were still shooting and she realized the world needs Wonder Woman because the world is not going to stop fighting. What they were trying to explain is Zeus
Also, the
created
fight-
man, Ares corrupted man, and that means that men are going to do what men do. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
it's not exactly that God is
the
the
fight-
defined creature. You know, Zeus is not going to define
The fight in
what
general.
exactly humans do. It's not like peace on Earth is going to automatically happen.
The
Men
fight-
have their own problems,
the
which
fight-
is what the entire movie's about.
The fight in general was just like crappy and ugly.
Yes, it was ugly.
And honestly,
it was ugly, and it was not
I
as
think
bad as Batman and Superman.
You could have had a very intense climax.
They don't have
where
it.
she works together with Chris Pine to stop this mustard gas.
But I thought it was more effective that Chris Pine died. Like,
Yes,
you might
Chris
as well
Pine still could have died.
You might as well kill Chris Pine.
Chris Pine still could have died. I don't see how this is such a hard concept.
I don't know what
She
this
re-
is a hard
she
concept.
kills-
I don't
she
know why
kills-
I can't say
stop,
my opinion.
Stop,
I don't know why
stop,
I can't say my
stop,
opinion.
Let
Why
me
can't I
talk.
say my
Please
opinion?
let me talk. For one
Why is
second,
my
please
opinion
let me talk.
instantly
Because you're
wrong?
trying to talk over me while I'm trying
Because
to
it's my opinion,
Yes,
Seth.
I don't care. I will
I want
let
to
you
finish
talk.
what I'm saying.
Stop freaking out, you fucking
Well, I want
asshole.
to finish what I'm fucking saying.
Stop freaking
Can
out.
I finish
for
my
one
fucking thoughts?
second.
Then
No.
you can say it?
No.
Okay, fine. Just say your whole review. Say
Okay, I'm not
exactly
saying
what
my
you're
whole
thinking.
review.
I
I'm
might
trying
as
to
well just be
respond to what you were saying, you fucking asshole. Get back here. Connor, you fucking asshole. Get back
Well,
here.
why am I even talking? Because you're just
Because
saying what
I'm
I say is
responding
wrong.
to what you were saying, you fucking
you're not.
idiot. Yes,
You're
I
not
fucking
responding.
am.
You're just
Just
saying
sit
what
the
I'm
fuck
saying
down.
is wrong.
Shut the fuck up.
Because
I'm not
if I
saying.
have an opinion,
I'm
I'm
not saying what you're saying is wrong.
Fine.
Literally
Explain
all
your
I'm,
fucking opinion.
literally
Just
all,
sit here.
literally
I
all,
won't
literally
even
all,
talk.
literally all, literally all, literally all, literally all, literally all I wanted to say was that I think you could have a very effective climax that doesn't end in a stupid Dragon Ball Z
And I'm
battle.
not disagreeing with you. That's not what I was disagreeing. I wasn't even. If you let me finish, I would say that I thought the final battle wasn't handled effectively. I thought the final battle could have been better. But part of it is that they don't have the very good effects team there. A big thing is about the final battle is that it was ugly because the effects team is very shitty at their job at DC. I'm sorry, but all the effects are like shit. And that's a trend between Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman. And Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel, and Suicide Squad have the problem where their stories are weak too, along with the effects, which make it really bad. Yes, the final battle could have been handled better. It could have been. But it's still by far the best final battle in DC because what it actually does is it tells the story effectively. Granted, you know, if we had ILM, which does the Marvel fights, Marvel's fights, even if you look back to like 2009, 2010, when Marvel and ILM started working together, when Marvel was bought by Disney and ILM started doing the effects, yeah, you look, even back in 2008, Marvel had better effects. Well, not 2008, but like 2010, Marvel had better effects than this movie had. And Iron Man looked better than this fucking movie. I'm not gonna lie. That final fight between Ironmonger and Iron Man and the original Iron Man looked much better. But this movie actually had an effective ending. I understood what they were saying. And honestly, I think a big part of it was miscommunicated because they spelled it out too much for us. They made it too cheesy and they made it too much on base level. Wonder Woman's like the power of love is gonna stop it all. If Wonder Woman didn't have that explanation, I thought Chris Pine's death was powerful. I cared when Chris Pine's death happened. I didn't give a fuck when Martha was held hostage in Batman vs. Superman. In Batman vs. Superman, Martha could have got fucking murdered and I wouldn't give two fucks because the characters didn't matter. Chris Pine and Gal Gadot did such a good job as Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor that I actually thought it was an effective climax. You know what I'm saying? And even though the fight versus Zeus and Wonder Woman was cheesy and kind of bad, there were still effective moments to it that made the scenes work to an extent. I do agree that the effects could have been better, the fight could have been handled better, but I think a big part of that comes down to the fact that the effects teams are out of date. DC DC and Warner Brothers just does not have the effects team to pull this off. They don't have the effects team to pull off this big blockbuster fight. What should have happened is, I think they could have kept the story intact, and honestly, the fight should have been completely different. And I thought Steve Trevor died in the perfect way that was effective, you know? Somebody had to be the pilot. Steve Trevor was the pilot, he could fly it, he could kill it, and obviously if they let Steve Trevor live and be like, well, me and Wonder Woman lived happily ever after, but whatever. And, I mean, obviously Steve Trevor had to die, that made the movie much more powerful, like, I don't know. And the thing I really loved about this movie, bottom line, is even though this movie, like the advertising, I think Warner Brothers doesn't understand their own movie. Because this movie had a feminist agenda to an extent, but it wasn't saying like men are weak or whatever. It was just saying like, you know, like don't completely count out women and don't completely count out fucking like, you know.
It wasn't even
like,
that.
don't
This
even
movie-
count out men. I thought the movie handled everything with class.
This movie
Like, I thought
wasn't
this
even
movie
really
would
a
come through
feminist movie.
and
This
Wonder
movie
Woman
was just
would be like, yeah.
The message of this movie really is that all people have good and bad in them, and Wonder Woman tries to inspire the good in people and make people better.
I think there's
And,
shit you could cut
like-
out of this movie. I think there's things that could have been handled better, but I like the underlying message, and honestly, I think this movie is probably DC's best movie in recent memory.
No, it is far and away.
Basically, since
just-
1989 Batman movie, which is arguably
I'm
better.
so conflicted on
I
this.
can't think of a better one, because I honestly don't think Dark Knight was better than the movie. I really thought this movie was great.
I'm so conflicted on this movie because I honestly want to love this movie, but the Ares fight,
The
it
Ares
feels-
fight was
it
weak,
feels
but
like
I feel like it fell
it's
apart
not
in
about the
effect.
fight itself. It's not about the effects. I feel like it undermines the message of the movie because when she thought she killed Ares, she stops for a moment and she's like, "This didn't end the war at all. This was just like me being dumb."
I thought it was
And that was really powerful. And then she fights Ares for like 30 minutes in like this Dragon Ball Z battle, and I feel like it undermined the rest of this fantastic movie.
I thought
Honestly,
the fight could have been
fantastic
handled
movie.
better. I'm not disagreeing with
I
you
think
on
if
that.
the fight didn't exist at all, this movie would have been
Well,
incredibly powerful and like
She
great.
has to fight
This
Ares.
feels like,
What you don't understand
yes, I
is
get that, but
she had to fight Ares.
if she fought Ares,
I think what
earlier,
happened was they
you
dropped
move-
the ball on the effects.
I don't think it's
I'm
the
not
effects.
saying the effects. I'm not saying the effects, but what I'm saying is this whole thing was animated. Basically what happened is the director's vision was all of this shit, and she fights Ares, she wins. But Warner Brothers, DC, and the effects department decided what happened during this scene. This was not really the director's vision was the scene. I don't think it was. It didn't feel like the director's vision. When they made this scene, it felt like, okay, now it's in the hands of the special effects department. You know what I'm saying? And it fell in the hands of DC to say, what's the underlying message? I feel like Warner Brothers and DC really pushed this message that conflicted with the rest of the movie. You know what
The
I'm saying?
problem is that
That's what fell apart.
The
But
Ares
was
fight-
it that bad?
the
I don't
Ares,
think so.
yes, it was.
I
The
don't
Ares
think
fight.
so.
I don't care what the Ares fight looked like. I literally could care less. If it was
I'm
a
not
Dragon
even
Ball,
saying what
yes,
it
I
looks
realize. I get it. Let me talk for 1 second.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
The
can't
Ares
talk.
fight, it could have been the same Dragon Ball Z fight, but it honestly, even if they made it a Dragon Ball Z fight, it should have came before Chris Pine died, because her killing Ares and realizing that things still suck is like the turning point of the movie. She thinks she kills Ares. It's not the real Ares, but she realizes that you can't just solve things that easily. And then she should have worked together with Chris Pine and those other guys who are completely unimportant to take down this facility and try to make a small amount of change in the world. I think it's so much, like you see Chris Pine die, and then she spends another 15 minutes Dragon Ball Z fighting Ares, and it's just like pointless action to end the movie because the movie has to end on pointless action.
Let me make one point.
The movie is just like, if those two scenes were flip-flopped, even if it was a stupid Dragon Ball Z fight, it would have been more powerful
Here's how they should have
than the
handled
other way around.
Here's how they should have handled it. And I agree with you to an extent, and I disagree with you to an extent. Chris Pine, this movie would have felt very like feminist agenda, but I liked how Chris Pine sacrificed himself for a meaningful cause, and it caused Wonder Woman to say, like, you know what? People make sacrifices. When she killed the German guy, she realized, like, even if this isn't the real Ares, which at that point she wasn't completely clear about, you know, men were created by Zeus in this universe. I'm not, you know, but men were created by Zeus, but at this point they have free will. It's not like a god dying is going to be like, war is over, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's going to be at peace. She understands that at that point. But when the mustard gas thing, I feel like the whole plot line about the mustard gas and a lot of the World War I plot points, especially with Madame Poison, I feel like Chris Pine is the protagonist and Madame Death or whatever, Madame Mustard Gas or whatever her fucking name was, she was the fucking kind of, and the German guy were kind of his antagonists. I feel like Wonder Woman and Chris Pine had plots that worked parallel and were on the same track as each other, but I feel like that was something that Chris Pine had to solve. So I loved Chris Pine's plot. I thought that was a great way to end it, where he kind of saves the world. I liked how Wonder Woman spared Madame What's-Her-Face after, I liked how she spared her, because she realized, like,
no, that part was
what is it
good.
going to happen?
Like,
what's going to happen if I killed her? Nothing. And I understand the Ares fight was underwhelming, but, and I think it should have followed the comics line more, where in recent comics it was kind of a revelation that Ares is her father, so, like, in here she's, like, the only person that can stop Ares, and then what they should have happened is, they should have said she should have had more of a connection to Ares. I feel like they should have established more of a connection to Ares, because if they connected her more to Ares and Ares said, fine, you can kill me all you want, who gives a fuck, you know, you can beat me, Wonder Woman, you're stronger than me, but no matter what you do, war is still gonna happen. You know, I think the fight scene definitely could have been handled better, but I feel like a big part of that happened where Warner Brothers said there has to be a big climax.
oh, it was definitely
It has
Warner
to be honey,
Brothers
honey,
meddling.
and I agree that it could have been handled better. I'm not disagreeing with you on that part. What I'm trying to explain is the connection between Wonder Woman and Ares. I feel like Ares definitely had to be fought in this movie. I feel like Ares had to be defeated.
Yeah, he did.
Because Ares, part of the movie is that Wonder Woman realizes even if Ares is defeated, the problem with men isn't, you know,
no,
maybe
yeah.
Ares was the origin of the problem in this
I don't
universe,
disagree that Ares,
but he's not the problem solved. You can kill Ares, but the problem isn't solved.
I don't
because the seed
disagree
is
about
already
killing
planted.
Ares. I disagree about the way they went.
Yeah, I
about.
agree with you. They could have handled it better. I'm not
And
disagreeing with you with that.
It's not just how the fight played out itself. It's
I think
this
movie had a good plot, but it was misworded at the end. Like, the movie was misrepresented and misworded in that final fight. I don't disagree with you. I don't think the final fight, I don't disagree with you, but what I'm trying to explain and what I've been trying to explain is I think the problem with that final Ares fight is not the idea of the fight. It wasn't even the action, because the action was better than what we've seen previously with DC movies. The problem was that DC and Warner Brothers decided, let's go this direction with it, when what they should have done is they shouldn't have said it was about the power of love. What should have happened is, and it would have been a little bleaker of a way to end it, so I understand why they changed the ending from a corporate standpoint, but what would have made a more effective movie is if Wonder Woman killed him and said, you know what, I killed the German guy, I killed Ares, and all men are at some level inherently evil. All men, women, everybody in ourselves has this inherent part. The seed was planted by Ares. I don't disagree with you, but what I was trying to explain was this the entire time. So they could have been handled better, but I think everything up to that point was fantastic. I literally think that it was fantastic. And
it was fantastic.
A lot of the Marvel movies played it really safe, and I think what DC did was a very dangerous direction. World War I is a serious topic to bring up. It's kind of almost an offensive topic to bring up, in my opinion. I think World War I, I think, is, like, even World War II, there's points where it's, like, slightly less offensive. World War I
was everybody dying.
World War II was a very heroic world. World War I, there were no good guys. There were no bad guys, and honestly, World War I was the perfect setting for this movie. World War One,
Yeah.
World War Two wouldn't have been as effective. As if they put this in World War Two, it would have been like, this is heroic, you know. There was it was black and white in World War Two. Nazis were bad. They were killing Jewish people. They were trying to take over the world. The Nazis were literally supervillains. But if you look at World War One, it's like we were fucking killing them in inhumane ways. They were killing us in inhumane ways. And it was the perfect way to give that character development to Wonder Woman. I think they did a very good job. I think the Zeus fight could have been handled better, and I definitely think that was Warner Brothers, but can I take that away from the rest of the movie, which was pretty much superb? I can't say this movie was a bad movie. I think this movie was very good. I think it was a step above most Marvel movies.
I'm not
most
saying
Marvel
it's
movies play
bad
very
either.
safe.
I'm saying this movie is on the border of great and good.
Yeah.
And I think if that last little chunk of the movie, where it just became a stupid fight for no reason, like a stupid purposeless fight, wasn't there, or if it was just played smarter,
I think
this would have honestly been a super
movie. The concept was there, and the last part of the movie, the skeleton to make it just a superb ending, was there. What I'm trying to explain is that it wasn't handled the best way. If it was handled slightly different, this movie, I think, would have been a classic example of how to make a superhero movie.
Okay,
this would be a classic superhero movie. Probably top 5 superhero movies from the cinematic universe. A generation of superhero movies.
I have a question.
Yes.
Out of the modern era of superheroes, where do you rank this on a scale of Batman versus Superman to Iron Man? Where do you put this?
I rank this.
What do you put it near? Like for other movies,
if I have to put it, if there's a dartboard on the wall and I have to say it landed right next to that movie, I would say like Guardians of the Galaxy, where I think it broke new ground. It was a risky movie. Like, yes, when I saw this trailer, when I saw the trailers, I thought Batman v Superman, probably a watered down version of Captain America: The First Avenger. But what I think is we could have had a Captain America First Avenger V2, where Captain America First Avenger
version of the First Avenger.
Yes,
but not edgy in a dumb way, like Batman vs Superman. Yeah. It's edgy in like
I'm saying edgy in the way that, and honestly, you know, it's a movie following a woman, but it had balls, you know, where it had a very similar kind of like tone to Captain America, where Captain America was very fish out of water. It felt like First Avenger, which I really like First Avenger. But my biggest problem with First Avengers is it didn't focus enough. It didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like First Avenger, a lot of it felt like montage the movie, where Captain America, a lot of his character arc happened during these montages. We don't see Captain America's, and that was the big frustration for me, is where we don't see the character arc for Captain America, because Captain America, he starts weak, but he's really, you know, he's kind of like noble, and eventually he becomes strong and noble, and eventually he stands up to the bullies, he wants to fight. And the same thing happens in Wonder Woman. It feels like a very refined, almost like a V2 of Captain America, First Avenger, and I thought it was a fantastic movie. I think in the way of the Marvel, I'm gonna call it like the cinematic universe era of superhero movies. Like we had the fucking serial age of superhero movies. We had like the 70s, 80s era where it was like these movies are very standalone universe, kind of like Superman's never gonna cross over with Batman. It's different, separate universes, but like they're more accurate.
The 2000s,
and then like
the
2000s where it was kind of campy, where it's like they understood that these movies started to kind of become cash cows, but they weren't quite there, where they were like, you know, like now it's more about adapting the like kind of making like more of a serialized storytelling, like comic book feel to it. In the way of like the movies, I would say like 2008 to like 2017, I would call it upper tier, because a lot of the Marvel movies are good, but they really play it safe. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason we don't see many bad Marvel movies, we don't see many great Marvel movies either, is because they play it safe. Doctor Strange was an okay movie, it played it safe. Ant-Man was an okay movie, it played it safe. But they're not movies I want to repeatedly watch, because they play it too safe, where it's like, I've seen this. You know, if I want to watch a good version of this movie, if I want to see a good version of Ant-Man, I watch Iron Man. What's the point in seeing Ant-Man when I can watch Iron Man? Why would I pop the Ant-Man DVD in when I can pop the Iron Man DVD in? This movie took risks. I think it was great. I thought this movie was great.
On a scale of Batman vs Superman to Iron Man, sound like a douchebag for this, but in its release state, I'd put this movie right next to Doctor Strange. Really, where it's like, honestly, yes. Doctor Strange is good. Doctor Strange is good.
Doctor Strange I put next to Ant-Man where it played it really safe.
Here's the thing. Doctor Strange is good. It's visually good.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's safe. And Wonder Woman doesn't have all those things. Like Wonder Woman, it's kind of ugly. The action's bad, but it has like a lot of heart.
I don't think this movie's that ugly.
Story.
It's definitely, you got to agree that it's the most best. It's the best cinematography of all the DC DC Universe movies, far and away.
Fucking not even.
Far and away. Not even.
But here's the thing. In its current state, the ending, honestly, I hate the ending so much, and I know you disagree.
The problem, no, I don't disagree. What I'm saying is, I don't like the ending. I want to clarify this one more time in the most simplistic terms. I don't hate the ending, but the ending was like a blueprint for what the ending should have been, and I feel like it was maybe the studio or maybe rushed, but the ending, the problem was everything else was so great that the ending was like just so close to understanding and so close to being great that the ending was just disappointing. The ending was disappointing. I don't disagree with you. But the blueprint was there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
In its current state, as the movie was released, the ending drags it down so much. The action reminds me of Dragon Ball Evolution, like way too much, and like that sounds like really harsh, but like it has the action is played out in the same way as Dragon Ball Evolution was, and I honestly feel like
it felt like
the ending. It is a cop out. I feel like the ending.
I don't disagree with you.
I feel like the ending. I'm not saying you're disagreeing with me. I'm just trying to talk about this for 1 second.
I'm just saying. I'm agreeing.
I feel like the ending almost spits in the face at everything else that the movie had accomplished up to that point. And it's just like, if the ending wasn't there, I'm not even talking a different ending. I'm saying if the movie just did not have that ending at all, even a more abrupt ending, this movie would be a lot closer to like Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Iron Man.
I don't disagree with you.
It honestly, a better ending would make this movie one of the best superhero movies ever made.
A better ending would definitely put this on par with like Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's
put it in
easily.
Just I feel like the ending put it just under the league of like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like this is greatness. This is greatness, and this is the movie before.
Just here.
This is the movie before. It's great. It's a great movie, and then the ending comes, and it's just like right underneath great.
I don't disagree.
Like, very good, not great, but just very good. You know, it's like DC had victory in their hands. It's like DC. It's like DC was winning.
DC damn near had a masterpiece.
DC was winning the Super Bowl by 27 points, and then in the fourth quarter they got a fumble, and they ended up only winning by 3 points. You know, it's like they had this massive lead, and then at the end they fucked it up and turned it into a small lead. It's a great movie. Well, it's a great movie. It just like, if all the pieces had come together better, and by all the pieces I mean the ending, had come together better, they would have had just something
it's like
absolutely
finishing a jigsaw.
fantastic.
Honestly, Wonder Woman, the best way to describe it is like, it's like making a jigsaw puzzle, but for whatever reason you lost the last piece. You know what I'm saying?
4 pieces missing.
Just like a couple pieces are missing, that just makes it great. And you know, I really enjoyed this movie. I definitely see the replay value, and I feel like, honestly, this movie, I feel personally, like we might be ushering in a new era. Like, obviously, cinematic universe is going to continue, but I feel like this almost ushers in a new era of, like, you know, female superhero movies are possible now. I feel like Wonder Woman basically proved, for the first time, female superhero movies are effective. And I'm not trying to say that to be offensive, but let's look at the fucking tape in front of us. The evidence proves that every fucking female superhero movie before this has been complete garbage, been a complete cash grab. It realizes, like, female superhero movies don't necessarily have to just fit the female demographic. And studios, oftentimes it's funny because studios, like you and me, can understand better than these fucking studios.
DC tried to hawk this movie off as like the ultra feminist, super fucking.
And honestly, I feel like a big thing that
Batman
hurt
versus
this
Superman.
thing. I do want to address break for a second that they put so much money into the marketing. More money went into marketing than to make this movie. First off, that's fucking retarded. And the marketing, I read still like 5 days, 6 days. Most people who want to see this movie have seen this movie, and it's like I'm reading articles still that are like, this movie is a feminist mastermind. It's like, do you not see the writing on the fucking table? This movie is not about feminism overpowering men, women being better than men. This whole movie is about being like, look, fuck the idea that only male superheroes or male movies in general. It's kind of like a new era for superheroes where I feel like superhero movies, hopefully, I'm hoping that Marvel and DC both follow this trend and finally say like, look, we can actually take risks with these superhero movies again. The problem with the cinematic universe era of superhero movies right now, and what's going to kill these superhero movies if they don't follow this trend, is you don't have to make the same movie where a blue laser flies in the sky and Captain America beats it, or Iron Man beats it, or Ant-Man beats it, or whoever the fuck beats it. It's not about the blue lasers anymore. It's about you can actually take risks. You can make a change on the genre. You can combine more genres. You can combine kind of a bleak war movie with a fucking superhero movie and make it work. I hope it starts that era where we start seeing something original.